Hey, what's up YouTube? Pallab here, and today we're gonna talk about the brand new Sigma 85mm f1.4 DG HSM Arts lens. This is a full frame lens and we're gonna test that on our Nikon D750. In this particular video, we're gonna do a full review. We're gonna talk about the construction quality, the features, the performance of this lens, and at last we'll try to see whether you should actually spend your time and money getting and using this lens. So first of all, the pricing. This long been anticipated lens, and the Art series is Sigma's most prestigious lens, and they just do not leave any stone unturned in terms of the quality. Absolute quality, absolute sharpness is what the Art branding seeks, and this is no different. It cost $1199 in India, just over 1 lakh, around about the 1 lakh mark. And a few things here. Now, I'm not gonna go into all the specs over here, but some of the important things. Number one is that this is a very heavy lens, and this is about 1.15 kilo, and this is definitely not a travel friendly lens. And compare that to Nikon 85mm 1.4, which is roughly about 600 to 650 grams, so roughly about twice the weight. This will make its presence felt in your hand. That's one thing. Number two thing is that the body is metal and it has a weather sealing, 86mm filter, so not your usual 67 or 77mm. 86mm filters are bigger and they are more expensive. Number three is that it has 14 elements in 12 groups. Now compare that with Nikon 85mm 1.4's, I think 12 elements in 9 groups, something like that. So this has much more glass in it, and this 14 elements actually include 2 FLD elements. So that kind of helps repelling the dirt and some of the moisture from this lens, so that weather sealing, it kind of can be used outside for a longer period of time, and also one element to actually eliminate ghosting and better refraction. So 14 element, it's 12 groups, so a lot of glass goes into it, and that along with that metal construction explains the weight. It has 9 rounded diaphragm, which means that you should get perfectly round a bokeh, but whether you get that at 1.4, we're gonna test that. Last but not least, 33.5 inch of minimum focus distance. So this is not exactly a lens that you want to get very close with to your subject. So if you're, let's say, clicking someone's eyelids, then probably this might not be the lens, because you actually cannot go that close. However, you can click the face and then crop if the sharpness actually allows that. We're going to talk about the sharpness in our performance, but that can be one of the solutions, although you would not get the full resolution of the camera because you're cropping it, of course. Now let's talk about the construction quality and some of the features that it has over the body. So it's an all metal body, weather sealing, and a nice hood over there. And the first thing that's very obvious is the huge focus throw, the focus link. It has great focus throw and nice smooth one. It's so smooth and it's so big that I would better off manually focusing rather than relying on an autofocus. I've always loved the manual focus, and this focus ring actually allows me to do that. You get the autofocus and manual focus button there. You should never, or you do not need to ever set this to a manual focus. You can simply have it in autofocus, and you can override that with the movement of the focus ring. But if you absolutely do not want the lens to take any decision, then probably you can move that to manual focus. Yeah, so now then, talking about the performance of this lens. The focus speed of the lens under enough light is brilliant, and even under very low light, it's almost equally good, at least much better than the older 85mm lens. As far as focus accuracy is concerned, you can see we took this multiple photos almost in one go, and I would not say it's 100% accurate. I would say about 7 out of 10
where the focus was almost spot on. But note that we also did not have enough light. It was a night situation, so I kind of stress test the lens out there. Another good thing about this lens is that it almost has zero focus bleeding. The sharpness of this lens is fantastic even at 1.4, but if you consider all the aperture of this particular lens, they're definitely 1.4 because it's the widest open, it's not the sharpest. I think according to me 5.6 would be the sharpest point. So if you want the absolute sharp photo, click at 5.6, but then you would not get a brilliant bokeh effect as in, let's say, 1.8 or 1.4, but 5.6 or even 8 would give you a very sharp image. This lens is a bokeh porn, and mainly due to that 1.4 aperture. It's a very shallow depth of field, so if you go enough close to the subject, maybe almost to the minimum focus distance, then the bokeh, it's almost kind of blends the whole background, and it makes it very buttery smooth bokeh. Now note that despite of being 9 circular diaphragms, it actually happens with a lot of lenses, almost all of the lenses. You do not get perfectly round bokeh until beyond f2. There is slight vignetting noticeable at 1.4 and even at 1.8, but beyond that it slowly starts disappearing, and I think by about f by 4 it's almost gone. This lens almost does not have any chromatic aberration nor any distortion. We really tried bringing in some ghosting on, or flaring into this lens, but we're unable to do so. There were these freak 1 or 2 occasions where a bit of light flare came, but I think that's purely by chance. Overall, the lens, does mitigate all the ghosting very beautifully.
So then guys, what do you think? That's the end of our review video, and some of the great things about this lens is sharpness, and quality of still and videos. Absolutely killing. That's one thing. Number 2 is that it's weather sealing, it's pro grade. The 1.4 aperture is great for creativity. Now, a lot of people would say that 1.4 and 1.8 there's not much difference, but theoretically 1.4 lets it about twice more light than the 1.8. So under low light, inside a room, inside a hall, this thing really matters whenever you're shooting a wedding scene at night maybe, or even an event, a music event. Probably this 1.4 is really gonna matter. The quality may be one of the most supreme one, but there are a few limitations, and most noticeable is the weight. As I told you in the beginning of the video, this is no way a travel lens. If I'm traveling a lot, then I'm no way gonna carry this lens unless I'm traveling on, let's say, a portrait assignment. So for pros who needs the absolute best quality, they cannot help but travel with this lens, and they actually should do that. But for the seasoned photographer or probably the amateur photographer who needs an 85mm lens, who needs a fast lens, but want to travel light because you need to carry a lot of other stuff as well, you also want to enjoy on your travel and you're not on an assignment, I would rather prefer maybe even a 1.8 lens, but less bulk. So maybe the Nikon 85mm 1.8, which are the 300 grams, and even the 1.4 one actually just over 600 grams. So roughly about half this weight. Number 2 would be the 86mm filter. Again, as I told in the beginning, 86mm filters are more expensive, and it's more likely that you have a lens with a 67mm or 77mm filters, but then they would not fit here because they're smaller. If they were bigger, then you probably could have used an adapter here. So you'll need to buy a full set of new filters just for this lens. And number 3 point is, if you're a Sony user, Sony A mount user, you're out of luck. A mount, FE, E mount, anything, because this lens only comes in 3 mounts: Canon, Nikon and Sigma. Yeah, so considering all of that, I've never seen an 85mm lens of this quality in my life. I've used the Nikon 85mm 1.4, I've used the Canon ones, I've used the Tamron 85mm 1.8. This one absolutely kills them all, and this is much better than Sigma's last 85mm. Yeah, so if you're a pro, if you really take your portrait seriously, and not only portrait, maybe your wedding photography or your event photography, group photography, anything, you take those seriously, you should get this lens. Forget about the weight. You're gonna get used to that weight. Probably if you're a pro or a serious amateur who takes this kind of photographs, you already have a body that's about a kilo. So yeah, this adds another kilo, but that's okay, because at the end of the day, those photos really matter to you, and probably you also do business with them. So in that case, this is absolutely the best lens. But if you're amateur starting out, do photography for fun, but so there are other cheaper options in the 85mm category. If you like this video, please hit the like button, ask anything related to this, and we'll try to answer them all. And please subscribe to our channel and share this video to share the love. Ciao.